What's up, guys? Welcome to Whiskey. My name's Jeff. This is a channel where I offer my thoughts, my opinions, and some scores on various whiskeys that I look at. If that sounds interesting to you, hit subscribe down below. And with that out of the way, why don't we take a look at today's review? We're going to be looking at the Arran 10-year-old. Stick around. In my recent review of the Arran 18-year-old, I mentioned how they kind of rebranded themselves in 2019, and when that happened, they kind of swapped out some of their older releases in favor of some new ones, but they also kept on some of their whiskeys. So if you're a fan of the old 10-year-old, you'll be happy to know that this new 10-year-old is basically the same thing. It's a continuation of that bottle. It's just got the new label and the new look. So in that sense, the whiskey hasn't changed. It wasn't tinkered with during the rebranding. But that's not to say that the whiskey hasn't changed at all over the years. Gradually over time, this whiskey has changed quite a bit. It was initially released in 2007, and I remember about 10 years ago, it was kind of a hot whiskey. It was a little bit sharp, and I didn't really love it. I think over the years, they kind of improved things. Their stock got a little bit older. Maybe they're using better casks, not sure about that, but it's definitely a better whiskey than what it used to be. If you watch a lot of whiskey reviews on YouTube, then I'm sure you know who Ralfy is. He's one of the biggest YouTubers out there. He recently called the Arran 10 his whiskey of the year for 2021. So this bottle's been getting a lot of love lately. And not really just this bottle, kind of Arran in general as a distillery. A lot of people are loving them these days. They're doing no wrong. I kind of agree with that. I think they're one of the most interesting distilleries out there at the moment. They're making some really cool stuff. So yeah, with that said, why don't we jump into the 10 and see what this one's all about. In terms of specs, we know what we're getting into because it is an Arran, so that means we're going to have our 46%, we're going to have our non-chill filtered, and we're going to have our natural color, as usual. So you got to love these guys. So the color of our whiskey is kind of like a honey color. It's pretty dark actually for a 10-year-old. And in terms of the presentation itself, as I mentioned with my review of the 18-year-old, I really like the new look of these Arrans. I like the bottle. I like the label. I like how they give us all the information we need without much noise. So all of that's looking good. It also kind of really pops off the bar shelf. Aesthetically, it's something that kind of commands attention, which I like. So in terms of presentation, this is a 5 out of 5 for me. In terms of bottle presentation, you're pretty much getting the same thing with every Arran you buy. Of course, there are some minor differences. So if you look here, you're going to see that the 10 is going to be brown. Our 18 here is gray. Also, the label's a little bit taller here on the 10-year-old. And I think that's to make room for our little blurb that we've got down here. That gives us our tasting notes for the 10. I'm not sure why that pops up on the 10-year-old and not the 18-year-old or some other releases, but whatever, who cares? At the end of the day, they're great label. It's a great aesthetic, and I'm really digging this Arran look. All right, let's check out the nose. So, very full, very clean nose. Pretty malty. You have some lemon zest. I'm getting like yellow apples. What are they called? Golden delicious apples. I'm getting some of those. I'm getting some bananas. Kind of like yellow fruits in general. Some oak in here and some cinnamon as well. All right, let's taste this. So this is pretty malt forward. It's a very malty whiskey. Really nice mouthfeel, kind of like a silky mouthfeel. You get some banana. You definitely get some vanilla in here. There's some like orchard fruits like apples and peaches. You also have a touch of honey in here. Pretty nice. Let's check out the finish. Okay. It starts to get a little bit more peachy in the finish. You also have kind of like a musty oak note that starts kicking in. You still got that sweet honey. You still got those sort of like yellow apples. Maybe some like barbecued bananas. I don't know if you've ever had those. Kind of sweet. Really, really good. You also have sort of like these fermented fruits, like those orchard fruits. Again, those peaches, those apples, but kind of like a fermented note in there as well. Medium in length, decent complexity. As I mentioned earlier, this bottle's changed a lot over the years, and it's gone from a whiskey that I used to not like at all to something that I thoroughly do enjoy now. I think it's a really nice whiskey. They get a lot of things right. Also, you have a lot of that Arran character shining through here. Arran, if you don't know, it's got sort of like this clean, zesty, vibrant profile, and that's definitely very much on show with this one. So it's got a lot of that youth and that vibrancy, but it makes it work. I think they're using some reasonably old stock. I don't know how much older than 10, but I think there's some older stock in there as well. Also, I think they have pretty decent cask selection as well. So it really comes off as a full, rounded 10-year-old. It doesn't feel undercooked. It doesn't feel like it's not ready. There's really not much that you can find at fault in this whiskey. They do a lot of things right. There's good balance, there's good complexity, there's some good flavors in here. I like those sort of like orchard fruit flavors that I mentioned earlier with your apples and your peaches, those yellow apples. Also that banana note, very fruity, and I think those give it a lot of character. It's got a lot of sort of unique and really appealing flavors. Now, obviously, I do like this one quite a bit, but I will say that it's not the kind of profile that really excites me. I do think it's really good. I think Arran's pretty good at doing whatever they're setting out to do. So if they set out to do a bourbon matured whiskey, they get it right. If they're trying to do a sherry finish or a wine finish, they do it right. It seems like everything they put their mind to, they get a decent amount of complexity. They manage to get that roundness, that fullness of character, and incorporate their own sort of like fresh, vibrant DNA as well. And this one's no different. In terms of score, I'm going to give this one an 86. And I know that might seem a little bit low, especially how much I've been talking it up. But as I mentioned earlier, it's not a profile that really excites me, doesn't set my world on fire. But I do think they accomplished what they set out to do. I mean, they really nailed it. What they were trying to do, they did it well. And I do think this is one of the better 10-year-olds out there. I think this would be a great whiskey for someone who wants to sort of graduate onwards and upwards from maybe the Glenmorangie 10-year-old, something along those lines. It's still kind of in that same flavor wheelhouse, let's say. Maybe a notch higher in terms of quality, a little bit more complexity with this one. Really nice profile. Also, if you want to get to know Arran and you want to sort of see what the Arran profile is all about, this is a great one to start with as well. So everything comes together really nicely in this one. And as I said earlier, Arran can basically do no wrong these days. In terms of value, I definitely do recommend this one. I think it's a lot of bang for buck. You're getting a very, very good 10-year-old at a very reasonable price with this one. And I do have to commend Arran for that. Almost across their entire range, not only are their whiskeys very good, but they also keep them very affordable, and this one's no different. So yeah, this is a really good whiskey at a really affordable price. And as I mentioned earlier, it does represent the Arran house style really well. So if you want to get to know Arran, I think this is a great jumping off point. It's affordable, it's delicious, and if you haven't tried it yet, go grab a bottle. Alright guys, that's it for me today. Thank you very much for watching. As usual, do me a solid and hit that subscribe down below, click that bell icon, and smash the like. I also do want to hear from you. Have you tried the Arran 10-year-old? What were your thoughts on it? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Also, let me know what you'd like to see me review next, and I'll be sure to take that into account with my next video. Bye.